crop steering. So that's a term that gets thrown around a lot and in different ways. What that is cycling plants back and forth on that moisture release curve and drying them out to a point where the plant is still uptaking water. It's still nutrient available, so plant available, the water content in the soil, but the nutrient level is very high, so it's able to uptake a lot of nutrients. And then taking it right down to a point before it's starting to damage the plant, and then introducing another irrigation event and kind of repeating that process. So it's this kind of pulsing cycle that, looked at over time is up and down and up and down. And so it's dry, wet, but within a very specific band of measurement. So, if you're measuring intensiometers and you're using millibars to measure that, something like a cocoa has a pretty large window. You might be able to start irrigating when it dries down to 70 millibars, and then you want to irrigate back until it hits about 10 millibars, which is very wet, and then let it dry back down to 70. More of like a peat-based living soil kind of thing. You're gonna start irrigating around 100, between 100 and 120, depending on the composition, and water it down to like 40 or 50 millibars, and then repeat that process. And yeah, there's some really cool stuff that happens in there to the plant. You get these generative cues that are introduced to the plant when you cycle it through that dryback phase. So it's, one of the other terms get thrown around a lot is like drybacks. What's your dryback? Are you doing this? And what we're looking at is running the soil down that moisture release curve, and drying it out. And why do we do that? Well, we don't want to dry it out to a point of wilt. That stresses the plant. It's going to be permanent damage. It's going to impact yield. It's going to impact vigor. It's going to, all that stuff. But by drying it back to just before the point where we're hitting that, we're introducing the concept of stress. We're not actually stressing the plant like on a real level, but we're letting the plant know. I'm going to turn the plant into a person here for a second, and we're introducing that concept of stress. And when we do that, it's kind of reminding the plant that, hey, there's an end to this. There's impermanence that does exist, and it'll can trigger doing it within certain windows, like having a longer dryback period will help induce flowering in a plant. Keeping it in a narrow, wetter band will keep a plant in a vegetative state longer. But by drying it back a little bit more, we're going to see we're giving it a generative cue. So we're telling the plant, hey, it's time to start the second half of your life cycle. It's time to start producing flowers, and to start fruit set. So there's things with moisture levels that can be done to manipulate those functions in the plant.